This is the Fecon Bullhog BH74 SS models, made for skid steer applications. Features a skid steer mounting plate on the back, standard mount fit on the skid steers.
Okay.
And one of the things that makes the Fecon special from a lot of the other manufacturers is our unique and patented rotor design. It uses what we call a paddle style rotor. It gives you much greater strength for the mounting of the tools. One single cross bolt holds the tool in place, and the structure that actually the tool bolts to is supported on three sides by the paddle: the back, the bottom, and the top.
Others tend to use a drum style.
Others tend to use a drum style, and your tool is supported strictly by the weld holding that holder onto the drum. This uses the paddles themselves to distribute those forces to make it more durable.
So where you're having teeth literally chip off on a drum,
Yes.
It's not happening here.
In the event of a severe impact with this style, and you tear one of these holders off, it's much easier to weld it back on in the same position as it was without creating a balance issue. When you tear one out of a drum style head, it makes a much larger hole, and you wind up with a lot more weld and have to have the rotor rebalanced.
Okay.
We also mount this rotor with bolt-on stub shafts coming in from each end, so it makes it very easy and simple to change rotor bearings on the ends,
Okay.
or individual shafts without actually having to drop the rotor completely out of the machine. Or
Okay.
if the rotor does need to be taken out, it's a very simple procedure because everything bolts in from the ends and allows it to drop straight out the bottom.
Okay.
We also use a variable displacement hydraulic motor in the head. That gives it almost like a two-speed type of function, that when you get into larger diameter material or heavier mulching, instead of the rotor just stalling out, it drops into a lower gear with more torque and powers through the material. It also aids in the recovery back up to full speed if you do stall it or drag it down to a very low RPM.
Okay.
The teeth that are on here are standard double carbide teeth. Typical applications, they'll last 300 to 500 hours. We also offer 3 other styles of teeth, so you have a total of 4 different kinds of teeth, 2 other types of specialized carbides, and a chipper or knife tool tooth that gives you faster cutting and standing with debris. So, and they're all direct bolt-on. You can even mix and match. They all weigh the same, so you don't create a balance issue.
Just so we understand an individual tooth, what am I looking at here in terms of, does this wrap around?
Yes, this whole assembly is what we call the tool.
Okay.
And it's held in place by one bolt. You cross bolt through there. So it's not hard to change a teeth. On this particular model, there are 30 teeth.
Simple 2 wrenches and
2 wrenches, a long breaker bar, piece of pipe to remove or put the teeth back on.
Okay. Are the teeth two-sided?
No,
Okay.
single-sided tools, but because of the design of them and the carbide, you get a very long life. There's no maintenance other than just checking to make sure they're tight.
Great.
You don't have to sharpen them, and they do allow you a fair amount of ground contact without damaging the teeth.
Great.
Also have a push bar. This is the standard weld-on push bar. It aids in pushing brush and larger trees over to keep them away from the machine so they can be mulched more effectively. We also offer multiple position adjustable push bars and hydraulic tilting push bars for those customers. There's also an optional trap door can be put on here, or mulching door, that allows you to mulch stuff up into a finer, more consistent product. Don't see them a lot on skid steer applications, but they are available.
There's a perception, I think, there's a perception with this machine that it'll just take a tree down, but some people don't realize that once it's down, they can then shred it.
Yeah, you can. This machine is designed to do a variety of different jobs and applications. It'll work great on the underbrush and the small things that you would typically maybe use a standard brush hog for. But it'll also flush off stumps, old stumps and decaying trees that are on the ground already. Or if you have some larger trees, it will knock them down and chew them up on the ground. Now, on a skid steer application, it works best in 4-inch diameter, smaller.
Okay.
It'll do the bigger stuff, it just takes time.
Okay.
It isn't going to hurt it, it's just a time factor, what's more efficient.
And
you can see an area here that we mulched up that had some fairly large diameter trees, and we chewed and mulched things up.
And here's an example. This is a former stump somewhere right in here.
Right about here, there was a stump of this tree right there.
And that stump is gone.
And that stump's gone now.
Wow. And this is what's left, where 3 trees were. Can't even see the stumps. That was impressive.
One other thing that this head features is a rotor brake, that when you shut off the head, the rotor stops within 6 to 8 seconds for safety. So when the operator climbs out, by the time he gets out of the cab and around to the front of the machine, the rotor is no longer turning.
Great. That's important.